Thank you, Rick and Rebecca. Wonderful pre-service music. It was lovely. Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody is well today. We have Dr. Maurita will be our speaker this morning, Rebecca Hall on flute for our special music, and as always, we have Rick on piano. And if you'd please turn off your phones, that'd be great. Put them on mute.
And I too, better turn myself on, hadn't I? The marvels, the marvels of modern science. What a pleasure it is to be with you this morning, to share some ideas, to give thanks, to get excited about our lives and our day, all our days. For that is the wisest, the most uplifting, and the most interesting way to live happily. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all of you who are looking at us on the internet. It's a day to remember, a day of joy. Well, I always start out with the Bible. It's such a wealth of information. Some of it has to be taken, with a grain of salt, understanding that the people who wrote the Bible long ago were the recipients of a way of thinking about life that we don't completely accept these days. We can see a little further than they saw. But this is from an ancient source, Isaiah 32:17. And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness quietness and assurance forever. And the work of righteousness shall be peace. What's righteousness? What does that mean? Right thinking, right acting, right intentions. That's what it means. That's what it's talking about. So, if you have the right kind of thinking, if you think in a more positive way, in a more loving way, if your intentions are to be and do the very best you can, what do you get? Peace. That's what he says. He was absolutely right. If you want to live with inner peace, you do the very best you can. You bring the best you can to life and all its many activities. Not only that, he goes on to say the effect of righteousness, of right thinking and right doing, right intention, is quietness and assuredness forever. You feel more self-assured. You feel more comfortable in your own skin. You greet the day with a sense that, yes, this is going to be a good day. This is the day which the Lord hath made. In other words, right thinking, right acting, right intentions, if we pave our mental life, if we do that, we are assured of a kind of inner confidence and quiet, and who doesn't want to be peaceful inside themselves? We carry that through every day. And I know that the people in this room, I know that the people who are looking at the internet right now and seeing me right now, they too have that, excuse me, as a goal. Things happen, but we keep coming back to that inner knowledge that I am bringing the best I can to whatever this situation is. And we are inwardly quiet. We are inwardly assured. We are comfortable in life. It's good advice. It's wonderful advice. Let's make sure we keep remembering it. Shall we say now our statement of being? God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you so much. And now it's time for our healing meditation, that time we take. Life is busy, but we need to make time for quietude. We do. And so we make that part of every Sunday morning. We get still, and we take a deep breath and let it out as slowly as we can. And another one. And let our shoulders down. Check our faces, make sure there's no tension. And then scan the rest of the body. And relax. Let go. Whatever awaits can wait. Right now, we tune into what we are eternally. Not a person handling a myriad of life challenges or life delights. We are being. That's with a capital B. Being what we are inside, beyond the flesh and bones and activities and roles that we play. Just relax into what we are eternally. Spiritual beings having a human experience. As we realize that we are so much more than what we look like and what we do, what we think, and we can begin to appreciate the connection we have with God. Because God is both within and far, far beyond. God is that eternal water of life. And we take a deep, deep drink of that presence, that power, that love, that light. Because God is omnipresent, God is right here, right now, healing, calming, assuring, helping. Where God knows what we are challenged by, what frightens us, what inspires us, what delights us. And God helps, always. We know that while we celebrated, that is probably the wrong word, we remembered the awful things that happened 20 years ago yesterday, 9/11. We know that some are still suffering from the effect of that day. People they lost, things they lost, people who tried to help and did help and yet carry the burden of having helped even to this day. We send out love and blessings. We remember with them, and we affirm that this will never happen again. Almost 3,000 souls perished, and countless thousands mourned. The country was shocked, and they too mourned. But we know that within every dark place there is light, because God is omnipresent. This day we send out love, understanding, blessings to all those who are negatively affected. And at the same time, we give thanks for 20 years of safety. We walk the streets of our hometown, and we don't fear. We have confidence, we have an ease. What's important is where we've got to go and what we've got to do. And who's responsible for this? Yes, our country and its armed forces. But God assures us our safety. So in so many ways we give thanks. We give thanks and praise to that one who heals all things, who makes things right, who brings good, who brings forth life. In the 90 seconds of silence that we are going to have, I encourage you to not only send out love and blessings to those affected by 9/11, directly affected, but give thanks as well for the freedom, for the safety that we're assured of as we move through our days and our nights. The blessings of life today, the good of life right now, starting right now. unto me, all ye who are heavy laden, come unto me. Remember God. Use God. Dwell in the comforting, the protecting attitude that God leads, God blesses, God helps. God is present now in the midst of life. And give thanks. Give thanks that it is so. It has always been so. It will always be so. Thank you, beloved Father, Mother, God. Amen. Shall we say together the Lord's Prayer, translated from the Aramaic? It's a beautiful translation, a more modern translation. Dr. Rocco Errico, who's the head of the Neuro Foundation, gave it to the world. A useful gift. Shall we say it together? Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error. Because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Well, I was asking myself the end of last week and the beginning of this week, what should I think about the next time? And couldn't seem to come up with anything. I have a habit of waiting for some kind of inner nudge that will send me in some kind of direction that would be right for the talk. Maybe it's a quote or a Bible verse, or maybe it's just a question that comes up in my head. But nothing seemed to come. I thought about it. But then it dawned on me that I spent from the 2nd to the 5th of September, that's 4 days over last weekend, glued to my computer screen, something I never do. I never spend that kind of time in front of a computer, never. I was attending the IONS conference, the virtual IONS conference, and IONS being the International Association of Near-Death Studies. I've been interested in near-death for 20 years, 25 years, something like that, because people who have had a near-death experience describe what divine science teaches. To me, their experiences are just this amazing, external, unconnected corroboration of what we believe. The people who have had an NDE, whether previously they were atheists or agnostics or just never had the first thought about spiritual things, all became deeply spiritual. Whether they were what you might think of as good people, or dangerously bad people, whether they were addicted to whatever, drugs, alcohol, etc., etc., whether they had tried suicide, whether they were vigorous, healthy people, or very sick people, maybe even close to death, whatever. They were inwardly changed. They were permanently inwardly changed. They were changed to people who not only believed in God, but who knew that there was a universal power. Furthermore, they came to know that God is not angry or punitive or judgmental. So many believed that, and so many of us believed it years ago. Instead, God is a presence and a power of pure love. Pure love. That life is eternal. Consciousness goes on beyond so-called death. That we are all part of this universal divine presence, and that we are all loved unconditionally. They had experienced a dimension of life that was undeniable truth. They'd experienced what we teach and what we believe. Furthermore, even though human memory is really poor, it really is. Changeable, it's incomplete. Two people can see the same thing, experience the same thing, and they will describe different things about it, or not clearly describe things. They will see it in two different ways, and give them some time between that event and their memory of it, and it gets even poorer. But the memory of near-death experience is complete and unchanging. It's perfect. People who have had an NDE 40, 50, 60 years before remember it as though it happened today. All the details. That memory never becomes fragile or incomplete. It remains as beautiful, as exciting, emotionally moving, powerful, transforming as it was when they first experienced it, when it was happening. It becomes an unforgettable part of themselves, not just something off in the past. It's part of them. NDEs are not rare. It's estimated that 1 in 20 people in the world have had either an NDE, near-death experience, or an STE, a spiritually transforming experience. That's what happened to our founder, Melinda Kramer. She had a spiritually transforming experience, experiencing the presence of the God, the omnipresence of God. That's what she taught. And that's what we teach too. 1 in 20 people all over the world amounts to hundreds of millions of people who've had one or another of these experiences. But how? How can that be? Most of us never even heard of NDEs, and maybe till the last few years. Those who've had this experience usually keep silent about it. If they try to describe them, doctors and their loved ones, dear friends, whatever, who certainly have not heard of this sort of thing, tell them, well, it was an hallucination. It was an effect of your illness, or maybe anesthetic or something like that. And in some cases they said maybe it was a psychotic break. Maybe it was a mental illness that caused it. These people they thought they were the only ones who had ever experienced this, because for so long nobody knew very much about it or did not pay any attention to it. So there's no label under which to explain it. So there were people who trusted it, treasured it, and kept silent. And there were others probably who just tried to forget it, stuff it down. Thank heavens for today's far greater public understanding and acceptance of this life-transforming experience. Now, there's some people who have just a very brief experience, while others come back with such a wealth, remembering so many details that it's as though they had been there for weeks or months in this next dimension of existence. Now, I know of a case where a person drowned as a child, and they had a very short momentary NDE, and it was just seeing a meadow, a beautiful meadow, with happy children having a wonderful time playing, but the beautiful flowers in this meadow had colors that were beyond any of the colors on earth. It was exquisite. But despite its brevity, that experience positively affected this person for the rest of their life. It's with those who've had the deeper experiences that I find so many parallels with what we believe. One thing that we both regard as truth is that we are one with God. We share His nature. Jesus pointed out himself when he was very, very strongly criticized. In the 82nd Psalm, he pointed out that it says, "Ye are gods." We don't think of ourselves that way. But everyone's spiritual nature is basically God-like, the image of God. Not only are we part of God, but we are also one with one another. We are inseparably connected with one another. Not physically, no, but on other dimensions. So say the NDEers. And so say we. We are connected. We have free will. Wonderful. God gave us free will. The freedom to reject Him. The freedom to reject what the Bible calls righteousness. Right motives, right thinking, right behavior. Had nothing to do with that. Do what I want to do. We also have the freedom to make God an integral part of our lives, and in so doing, live so much more joyfully and with so much more freedom, inner freedom. The freedom to serve others, to be kind, compassionate, to make the world, even just a small way, a better place. They say, as so do we, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We've chosen to have a physical journey on planet Earth, to have the opportunity to learn spiritual lessons that can only be learned here. Those who have a deep NDE knew to the depths of their being that God sees us as perfect. He sees us as souls having a learning experience. That's what we're here to do, learn. God never punishes us. He never forgives us because there is nothing to forgive. God loves us unconditionally. Those who've experienced near death tell us that they say what our own Fundamentals of Divine Science book says, what Jesus taught. They say what every great teacher of philosophy, of living well and spiritually, of what all that teaches, and that is that love is the most important lesson for us to learn. Love is the only thing that really lasts. Love is a healing energy. It's the cure for fear or hatred, unforgiveness, or for any other negative emotion. We need to choose to base all our decisions, big or small, base all decisions on love. Because when our decisions are based on love, they have the best outcome. they always prove to be the right way. And the ears say something else, and it might be a bridge too far for some people. And that is that there are no accidents. No accidents. Everything has a divine order in it. I personally don't find that a bridge too far to cross, though. I've said the affirmation, divine order is already established, so many times, my goodness, that after I say that to myself, I always add, there's a reason for this, and good is going to come out of it. Because divine order is already established. I say that to myself. God and good are an inseparable part of this, because God and good are an inseparable part of everything. Nature, climate change, might be the physical cause of the fires out west and people having their homes burned down, losing everything. Or 150-mile-per-hour hurricanes in Louisiana, again, people losing everything. Or floods in New York and New Jersey and elsewhere. People lost, possessions lost. These things have happened and are happening, but very, very gradually, we are going to see good come out of it. For a terrible pandemic to take so many lives, 4.5 million people have died of COVID so far, and it certainly is not over yet. All of this is forcing change. Forcing change. People not only are devastated and grieving for their losses, but they are also gradually growing. They're forced to think in new ways. They're forced to risk new things, move forward with new challenges, change, grow, and often grow spiritually. What do most people dislike the most? Most people. Change. Don't want to change. I'm comfortable where I am. What a pain to have to establish a comfort zone, of the familiar surroundings, the familiar things, a familiar way of doing this, that, or the other, a place where I find what I need. But so often, people can look back past the pain, past the annoyance, past the discomfort, and see that that change was a beginning. They can see that that change was really an opportunity for something very positive. Now, it isn't just these people who have had near-death experiences who delight me, because of the truth that they've experienced, that we believe as well, the truths that we talk about in divine science. But I always rejoice when I find people in science who echo the things that we believe. Dr. Francis Collins, perhaps you remember the name, maybe not. He was the director and oversaw the National Human Genomic Research Institute. And that was the institute that mapped and sequenced the 3 billion letters of human DNA. Now, a lot of people consider that this project has been the most significant undertaking of our time. Why? Because with this knowledge, researchers are using genomic tools and techniques to unravel and eventually to be able to cure all human diseases. Wow. Well, Dr. Collins has called the genome God's language. And he's also said this: and I quote, "The best case of all for the existence of a supreme being is in the very laws of physics. The fact that physics has laws, and that those laws are knowable, internally consistent, and elegant." And Werner Heisenberg, who is really the father of quantum physics, said this: "The first gulp from the glass of natural sciences will make you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you." Oh, there are some other wonderful quotes that I could use, but I don't have the time. Because what I want to repeat is the central truth that divine science teaches. I've done it countless times standing right here. But you know, we can't get it too much. We cannot. Because when we go over it and over it and over it again in our minds, we try to make it these truths the first thing that we remember when life serves up surprises, unpleasantness, maybe shock, instead of fearing, of getting angry or shaken to our core, or just with wanting to withdraw. Let's get out of here, let's get away from this. We think of God instead. That primary idea needs to be the central fundamental truth in our heads. That's what we think of first, not 21st. So, the first of these great laws is that a supreme being that's called by many different names and is described in many different ways is the basic energy of the entire creation. God is omnipresent. That means within us, around us, within and around all things. Since God is everywhere, good is everywhere as well. Here, now, with us, always. The second truth is that God created souls from His own being. He created us in His image and likeness. Our eternal spiritual identity is the image and likeness of God. We're told that very clearly in the first chapter of Genesis. As God's children, we have infinite potential. Infinite potential. We are inseparably connected and have constant, instant access to God's love, to His wisdom, His help, His creativity, God's strength, God's power, His right action. And our all-important self-image, what we think of ourselves, needs to be defined not in terms of physical bodies or what we don't like about ourselves, what we do like about ourselves, what we've done or we haven't done in life. No. How we need to define ourselves is in terms of our spiritual being, not just the outer physical structure that our soul inhabits. And finally, these three things, this one finally, as Jesus said so many times in so many different ways, we must think and act with love. With love. Not criticism, but love. And instead of shame and self-condemnation, we must treat ourselves lovingly as well. But we've made mistakes. That's how we were designed to learn, by making mistakes. We've learned. We've become strong through that learning. We are connected through God with everyone and everything. Let's approach it all with love. With love. Especially ourselves. Be loving to ourselves. These truths are not the divine science religion. These truths are the way that divine science says, live. It's our way of life. Let's go with Him. And again, relax. And rejoice in the truth that we are loved by God. We are one inseparably with Him. That we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But we are primarily spiritual beings. And finally, that love is the way of life that is most wondrous, most satisfying, most effective, most peaceful and joyful. So we must love ourselves and everyone else. Oh, thank you, beloved. Thank you for making these so clear to us. Thank you for letting us follow in the path of the Master Jesus. For He knew love and He taught love. For all the blessings in our lives. For a clear path to a life of freedom and joy. For the good that we have done and are doing and will do in our world to make it a better place. We say, thank you indeed. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. I believe Jan is to make an announcement.
Blessing of the gifts.
Excuse me?
Blessing.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, first, blessing of the gifts. We thank you in advance for your kind offerings and gifts to the church, because it makes everything we do possible. It makes these programs that go out over the internet possible. It keeps the lights on and the heat when necessary. So shall we bless our gifts and know that they will do nothing but increase. Together, today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And speaking of change, well, we've had to change our way of taking up collections since COVID, so the baskets are up here. So when you go out, again, we're still coming in this door and going out these other doors, and we'll probably continue to do that even when COVID's over. It seems to work well. So the basket is up here for your donations, and also there's a prayer basket and a basket for people that want to donate for the gardening fund. The gardening fund surely has helped us this year because it's saved a lot of us from having to come over here every week and do stuff. So we appreciate all that everybody has done with that. So thank you very much. Just a few short announcements. We announced last week that Becky's mom is having her 96th birthday at the end of this month, and we wanted to send her a bunch of cards. So Ann has volunteered to put out some of her birthday cards free of charge if you'll sign them and address them, and we'll get them in the mail to her. So we'd like to kind of just give her a whole lot of birthday cards for her. And Becky has not been able to be here for service since pretty much since COVID hit, because she has to take care of her mother. So anyhow, we keep both of them in prayer, but we would like to try to do that, to give her some birthday cards for her birthday. Ann is working on the newsletter for the rest of the year. If anybody has anything, please see her or me to put it in the newsletter. She said, you know, if it's your all's newsletter, so if you don't give us something to put out there, we can't keep making up stuff. So anyhow, we want stuff going. We like to keep people informed as to what's going on at the church and in everybody's life, because some people still have not returned to church because of COVID. So it's a nice little way, and we put some funny things in there. So if you've got anything at all, please see Ann, let her know, because if we don't get some input, you know, we're going to cut back on how many times we send it out next year or whatever. So anyhow, it's just some helpful advice there if you all want to continue to get the newsletter. The flowers today were sponsored by Pam, who is on vacation this week, and she did it in memory of 9/11. So we thank Pam for that. And there's, I think, Ann counted like 6 slots left on the flower calendar for the rest of the year. So if anybody would be willing to sign up for those, we would appreciate it. This week, again, Pam's on vacation, so we're going to switch coffee from Wednesday night to Tuesday night, just for this week again. Next week, we'll be back on our regular schedule. So there will be no German class, but you still on the same book? I've had somebody ask me, okay, when you get ready to change, let me know, because I've got somebody who wants to do it. Okay, thank you. Let's see, did you have anything else? Okay. One other thing, some of you already know this and some of you don't, but our friend Mark Jones, his partner, passed away this week, and at some point we will have a celebration of life here. We do not know yet when, but just keep Mark in prayer. Also, if you would like to send him a card or a message, he would greatly appreciate it, I know. So keep him in prayer for that. Anybody else have anything? Have you decided anything about your class? Okay. She's still thinking, okay. At some point, Nancy's going to do another class, but she's thinking, so we know how that goes.
We do?
Yes, we do. And thank you, Rebecca. Beautiful music.
Well, we usually close our service with a prayer for our country, each in his own way. But could I suggest something? The Master, Jesus, before he fed the 5,000, he blessed the bread and broke it, blessed the fish and broke that. So let's give thanks in advance, rather than thinking of all of the things that our country is facing right now. Why don't we think in terms of solutions? Why don't we think in terms of just an outpouring of different good things that will bring forth answers to questions and solutions to problems? Let's give thanks in advance to our beloved Father and Mother God for the good that is coming forth. Jesus did it. Can't follow anyone who knew more. So let us, in the next 90 seconds, do that. Give thanks in advance for solutions and harmony, for equality and blessing to all. Thank you, dear God. And thank you. And have a blessed day.